A coalition of civil society groups is calling for the arrest and prosecution of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai over what it describes as a self-confessed act of illegal phone tapping. The groups operating under the Campaign for Sustainable Democracy and Rights allege that El-Rufai admitted during a television program that he and others listened to the phone conversations of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. In a statement signed by its convener Nelson Ekujimi and co-convener Shola Omolola, the coalition described the alleged admission as shocking and said, if proven, it amounts to cybercrime and subversion of national security. The group cited the Cybercrimes Prohibition Prevention Act and Section 37 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which guarantees the privacy of citizens' communications. They are now urging security agencies to immediately investigate the matter, insisting that any unlawful interception of communications must be addressed in line with the law. For more on this, I am joined by rights activist Nelson Ekujimi, who is one of those demanding the arrest of the former governor. Hello, Nelson.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Happy Sunday.
Same to you. All right, so you've described this as a self-confessed act. What specific statements by Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai lead you to conclude that a crime was committed?
Well, you and I know very well that under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the right of citizens to privacy in terms of their communication is guaranteed, except in circumstances in which the state feels that such a conversation or such a person is liable to commit an act that threatens public safety and order. And under the law, where that is suspected, the law requires the security agencies to obtain a court order. But the law also gives the security agencies the right to go ahead, but that they must obtain a court order within, I think, 24 or 48 hours, to legitimize that, intrusion into a conversation of a citizen. So Malam El-Rufai going on TV, on a national television program, to say that he and some persons listens to the conversation of the National Security Advisor is totally in breach of the Cybercrimes Act 2015, which is very, very clear. And the Cyber Act provides that where somebody does this without the authorization of the court, where the law, if anybody does that without the authorization of the court, he or she is guilty of the Cybercrime Act. So Malam El-Rufai, we don't need to bother our head any longer. He openly self-confessed that, he tapped the phone line of another citizen. And moreover, the phone line of the National Security Advisor. Who knows? Maybe part of the security challenges we're having today is maybe because Malam El-Rufai and his, his partners in that business, maybe they have, access to other phone lines of security agencies' heads, and they are in the know of, security agencies' movements and plans, strategies, and what have you. And maybe that is why we are still having, the problem of insecurity in the country. So he confessed himself, and if you read the Constitution as well as the Cybercrimes Act,
all right, Nelson. Hello, Nelson. Sorry to cut you off. But before we go off and throw out allegations randomly, let me ask you, have you formally petitioned any law enforcement or security agency, and what has been the response that you've received so far?
Well, what the petition we have done is through that press statement, for which we are calling for his immediate arrest. And we are asking that if he's arrested, the matter should be investigated, because he has confessed his own role. We don't know other persons because he didn't mention their names. So in the course of investigation, he is likely, to reveal their names. And if it is found true that he has compromised national security, then he should be made to face the full wrath of the law. It's very, very clear. The petition we have done is through a press statement, which is in the public space, is in the media today.
All right, so you brought up cybersecurity earlier on. Now, under the Cybercrimes Act, what exact provisions do you believe were violated in this particular case?
Well, Section 37 and 39 state clearly how telephone conversation, how it is a constitutional right of citizens, except in circumstances where it is suspected that such citizens are a threat. And the Act now gives the security agencies the powers. I'm sorry, I can't read it verbatim to you now, but it's in the press statement. It gives the security agencies the power to interrupt or to intervene or to tap into the conversation of a citizen. But it's with a proviso. It must be done with the permission of a court order. And where that tapping of the citizen's phone conversation is as because of urgency, where it occurs, the laws now mandates that because of the urgency of crime or against the state, against citizens, where there is need to tap the phone conversation of a citizen, that the security agency must go to court to obtain that order to legitimize whatever they have done. If they have tapped into your line without a court order, then they have acted illegally. And moreover, the law did not give any citizen, I'm sure, Malam El-Rufai does not represent any of the security agencies in Nigeria. He's an ordinary citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, just like you and I. So he has no powers under the law to tap into the conversation of any other citizen, more or less the National Security Advisor of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it means all the security conversation of the NSA in the discharge of his official functions have been, compromised by Malam El-Rufai and his partners. So that is why we said he must be made to answer for that confession. It's not an allegation because nobody is alleging him. He himself came on public air and say, we listen to. How do you listen to the conversation of another person from another person's phone number? Except if you have tapped into it illegally. And that is exactly what he has done, which he has confessed to.
All right. So some may argue that this is just a political rhetoric rather than a legal admission. Now, how do you respond to claims that your demand is politically motivated?
Well, you and I know very well that when it comes to the commission of crime or security, it does not know whether you are a man or a woman, you have ex-political party or not. What we are saying here is that the Constitution of Nigeria was written, to guarantee law and order. And if any person has confessed to the commission of a crime, will you now say because he belongs to party X, then we should allow him to go? Does it mean that that person is above the law? Absolutely not. The law is very clear that if you do this act, if you commit this act, you are liable, to being held for violation of the laws. So politically motivated intentions does not in any way impugn into this. It's about the law. And what we are saying here is that what does the law say? The law says that the only authority that can, tap into the conversation of a citizen is the security agencies and not an individual. And like I said earlier on, Malam Nasir El-Rufai does not work in any of those institutions. And even if he did, the law also mandates that if you tap into the conversation of another citizen, that you must, do it with the provision of a court warrant. So the question now is that with which court order did Malam El-Rufai tap into that conversation? He is in breach of the law, so it has nothing to do with politics. This is purely a case of criminality.
All right, thank you very much for speaking on this issue.